Good afternoon all. Now before I start the next lesson, I think I should tell you about the options. Now the first section is nationalism in Europe, nationalism in Indochina. Earlier it was an option between nationalism in Europe and Indochina. Now it is mandatory that you have to learn nationalism in Europe. The second part is mandatory for all, that is nationalism in India. Then comes the third section where it includes 3 chapters: making of a global world, age of industrialization, and I think there's one more chapter. Work, leisure, and something like that. So of all the 3, you can choose any one. So I have decided to take making of a global world. Then the last one, it is between history of printing, last 2 chapters. In that the first one is compulsory. Anyway, so now I am not dealing with nationalism in India. I thought I will give a break for this nationalism and go to making of a global world. So, making of a global world, that is globalization. Maybe according to you this term is used very frequently only from 1990s. Globalization, what is what you call as global economic world, so many things. But the word globalization is not a new one. It was an economic system that existed even during the pre-modern period, or it existed even during the pre-modern world. So what is global? Global is at the international level. It includes all the nations. So globalization is defined as integration of a nation's economy with that of another nation's economy. In other words, it is an economic system associated with the free movement of goods, technology, capital, labor, etc. That is across the world. Throughout the world there is an exchange of goods, technology, people, capital, etc. So the first part of the chapter says that there are enough evidences to prove that globalization did exist during the pre-modern world. So we are going to see the various examples which justifies the statement that there were instances, that is globalization did exist during the pre-modern world. So the first example they are talking about is the Silk Route. I think in 7th we have come across this word Silk Route. So Silk Route was a route which connected China with Asia and European nations and North Africa. This Silk Route was through both land and sea. Since a major commodity or the item of export was silk, hence this name Silk Route became or came into vogue. Vogue means it prevailed. They started using this word Silk Route. So the most important commodity that was being that is transported from China through Asia to Asia, Europe and North African countries was silk. Apart from this, there were other goods like spices, pepper, precious, semi-precious stones, etc. So this is the first proof. The second one, the heading, there is food travel from one country to other. So the junk food which you call today, most of you, what do you like? Noodles. What do you like? Pasta. So this noodles it was there, people started having noodles, or they became aware of this food called noodles from West China. It traveled to Europe. And when it reached Europe, it was called as spaghetti. Spaghetti is nothing but a thin thread-like. So, since noodles is very thin, the Europeans called it as spaghetti. Then, of course, pasta traveled from Italy to the Arab countries, so on. Then, the common food like potatoes, sweet potato, soya, groundnut, maize, tomato, chilies, all these were also introduced from different countries. It was moving from one country to the other. Now, it was introduced to which all countries? It was introduced to Europe and Asia after the discovery of America. Actually speaking, who discovered America? Immediately the students will tell Madam Columbus, Christopher Columbus. It is not Christopher Columbus, it is Amerigo Vespucci. That is why they see Christopher Columbus, he thought it was what you call as America. Actually he had gone to West Indies. So it was Amerigo Vespucci who brought it to light that it was America. That is, that place called America was discovered by Amerigo Vespucci. So all these common food items like potato, chili, tomato, soya, all these were introduced to Europe and Asia after America was discovered. Now, so second example is food. Third one, through conquest, so through disease and through trade. Trade carrying precious metals, trade involving precious metals from mines of Peru and Mexico. It was being transported or traded. It was being carried to different countries. So that is, trade existed. Next one, through disease. The disease called smallpox. It was transmitted as a result of the conquest of America. That is, Spanish conquerors, they transmitted. It was through them that this smallpox was transmitted in the course of conquering America. Till 15th century, so disease over. Then till 15th century, of course this is just an information. Today you call USA, the European nations as the richest countries. But you should be proud that the two richest countries among the world were China and India. And at the same time, during this 18th till mid 18th or late 18th century, hunger and poverty was very common in Europe. So during that time, China and Italy were the richest nations in the world. Now let us see what sort of globalization took place between the period 1815 to 1914. Recalling what you have learned in the first chapter, Nationalism in Europe, 1815, the Congress of Vienna took place. And 1914, almost 100 years, 1914, the First World War broke out. So between this period, let us see what was the condition in Britain. Population increased. Obviously, when the population increased, there would be demand for food. So when there was demand for food, Britain was a country which did not have cultivation, so she started importing it from other countries. And during this time, and moreover, they also felt that importing food from other countries was cheaper than cultivating food in their own country. Now, during this time, the first nation to see the birth of industrial revolution. I told you, revolution can be in any field. It could be against against a government. It could be in the field of religion. It could be in the field of what you call as agriculture, in the field of milk, in the field of water. So whenever there are changes brought in any field, you call it as revolution. So due to the revolution, when the earth moves around the sun on its own axis, you call it as revolution, which brings about change in seasons. So any revolution, it brings about certain changes. So that is the most important aspect of revolution. Here, the first country to see the birth of industrial revolution was Britain. As a result of the industrial revolution, new inventions were being invented, like the spinning jenny, the steam engine. And so what happened? As technology grew, people also, industrial growth took place, and as a result, income was higher and people could afford to import more food. So what was the means of transport? The means of transport were the railways and the ships. Ships, steamships, and of course the telegram. All these three, the land route, the sea route, and the means of communication, that is telegraph, transformed the 19th century world. So as I told you, role of technology. We saw invention of railways, that is one. The second one, meat, which was a food, that is to be, it was a food only for, it was considered as a food only for the rich. Now, as a result of industrial inventions, with the introduction of new technology, refrigerated ships were built. The animals, the cattle, it was slaughtered at the starting point. It was frozen, that is in the ships, and transported to Europe, where the food was in demand. So now, meat was no longer the food of the rich. Now, just like I told you, disease became one of the transmitting disease from one country to another as a result of globalization. Similarly, rinderpest, it was nothing but a cattle plague, a fast spreading cattle plague which hit Africa in the late 1880s. This plague, it was a disease. It infected the cattle, which were imported from British Asia. So those cattle which they bought from that part of Asia, which was under the control of Britain, you call it as British Asia. So the cattle which is transported from British Asia to these countries, that was the source of carrying this cattle plague. It destroyed 90% of the livestock. The colonial government forced the Africans now into the labor market, because it was brought, they believed that the Africans were the main source of this rinderpest, so they were asked to work as labor in the labor market. Then comes the indentured labor, transfer, what do you call as laborers migrating from one place to another. Indentured labor is nothing but bonded labor. You work under contract and work like a slave under your master. So, the 19th century, during this period, thousands of Indians and Chinese laborers went to work on the plantations, in mines, road and railway constructions. Added to it, a number of projects around the world. So thousands of Indians and the Chinese, they went as laborers. They worked in the plantation, in the mines and in the road and construction and other projects. Recruitment was done by agents for these migrant laborers. Recruitment for migrant laborers, it was done by agents who provided these laborers with all fake information, taking advantage of the need of a job. And the migrant workers, though they came for earning money, their working conditions were becoming harsher and harsher. Finally, in 1921, this bonded laborers or indentured labor was abolished. Now, with this, I am winding up the class today. I think I have sent you some PowerPoint, blog. In that you have the second chapter. I think you have power sharing also. So you will go to the blog. I have already told you what you have to do with regard to first chapter. They have whoever has prepared the blog, one I think R.K. Virendra, he has done it beautifully with each topic with some subpoint, with the subpoints point wise. So few topics, the first few topics you write it in your classwork and the next few you write it in the homework note. Date I'll tell you later. I think we started the class on 5/4. So you can write the classwork date as 5/4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9/4 you will write as homework. And you have one assignment, Nationalism in Europe, in which you will mark the European nations. In the political outline of Europe, you will mark the best European nations. This work, you can finish it by Thursday. Today is Wednesday, Friday. And then you will go to power sharing. That I'll tell you what you have to do. Same blog you have to go and I'll tell you what you have to do. You have an assignment. Map work, there is one assignment. And when you come to power sharing, I'll tell you give you another assignment. So then you have 2 more chapters, resources and development for question answers. Let me see if in the blog there are. See, one more thing let me tell you. Once your classes starts, again I will not make you write the question answer and the homework and classwork. What you do now will be, that's all. You are not going to write again. Whatever question answers we are marking, it will be only in the textbook in keeping in mind your CBSE examination. You need not write again. Parents also, there is no pressure from my side. Now what they write will be, that will be the classwork and homework for these chapters. Again, no more writing. Whatever I am taking during the holidays, you will not write. You will finish your writing and we will be marking. Definitely we are going to mark all the other question answers in the textbook. You need not write it again. I think I made it very clear. And a word to all the students and teachers. Now you have enough time to read the lesson. So at least 2 pages or 3 pages of social science. You please read social science. It includes 4 different subjects. On and on, I have told you all this. Later parents, it's a normal trend among the parents and students. My child got good marks in all the subjects, only social, only social. Please, it is not for the teachers to be blamed. The most important reason why the students are finding social science difficult is because one thing, the language in the book, that is the textual language in the social science, all the four, especially democratic politics and history, it is too high, and the standard of English that is in par, it is English in what they are writing is not in par with the English used in the textbook. So unless and until you make your child read the lesson, read, you cannot write or answer 1 mark question. It could be 3 marks or 5 marks. So please follow the instructions. Do not go outside. Please obey the rules of lockdown. And I think with that, we'll call it a day and see you tomorrow.